a awesome, wonderful weekend and a blessed start to your new week. And here I'm going to start with some of the pictures now for a minute of these. What I'm showing right now is from Julie as well, from Giant's Playground site that she's called it, and in the same from her website, Montana Megaliths, from the main sites. But this guy here, what she calls the robotic watcher, has me so freaking excited. And I don't know whether to just spend the next day scrambling through my old micro SD cards to try to find the pictures from the full pictures of my hike to Mount Yamaniska from my old cell phone, because I actually have a picture of an identical robotic watcher to this on the front side of Mount Yamaniska, 2/3 of the way up. Sadly, I didn't get a picture of it with my main camera, and that I think I lost the phone or it doesn't start anymore, but I believe I have it in the SIM card. Either way, or if those able to donate and fund my arse to get back out there, I will gladly re-hike up there and aiming to do a July 17th for my birthday hike back up and explore the Mount Yamaniska site and get a photo of this matching robotic watcher at the Mount Yamaniska in Alberta, where this guy is in Montana. And this site here is also in Alberta, more Badlands, and it's called Writing on the Rock site. Here's one of the faces. This guy is at the Montana Megaliths Giants Playground site. Yes, you got it, sister. Lakeside Laura. Yes, July 17th, I am a Cancer. And look at that. See, look at that. That is a Buddha guy. Look at, is it not? Like, I see it, and super ancient. Happy early birthday to Kim B. Right? Isn't it? Good day, Gigi. Good to see you. And there's just so much, and they're ancient. They're super ancient, super old. These carvings, I believe, on these. Some more of the megaliths. Oh, sadly, yes. Oh, here we go. Better quality pictures. Here's one of the walls. This might be on part of the Sage Wall. This could be part of Sage Wall in Montana. Sage Wall is right next to the Giants Playground site. I believe they're pretty close to one another. And a lot of attention now coming to Sage Wall, which is spectacular, and that God willing and the universe provide, hopefully I will be able to make it down here this September and go explore the Montana megaliths after I document a whole bunch of the Alberta ones that match these sites, and it will make it absolutely the most epic as possible of a year that we can do. Getting it all confirmed, and like, look at this. This is massive megalithic geopolymer polygonal wall structures in Montana, and it's undeniable. And so then here's the archaeological site. I don't know if this one's Montana's or Alberta's. There's a couple of these different medicine wheel sites that are actually advanced astrological calendars. Sorry, the pictures are not in straight alignment. Like, that's another either super eroded megalithic carving of face animal or something, and I would imagine that it has, with the right shadows, sunlight, Sophia statue, they're saying, right? That it looks quite astonishing. Howdy, Frankie. Good day. Oh, today is your meetup. Oh my God, I missed it, didn't I? Am I retarded? Is it still going on? Wow, I'm a pothead. Frankie, how are you doing? And how was the meetup, or is it going on? If it is still going on, I need to make it down there, and let me know, good sir. The cat right here, this like the puma etched into the stone, or is it part of the stone? Very good. Just got home. Well, I hope you had a good time, and I will have to check out your stream if you did one, or the video that does come of it, no doubt. And we will have to get together very soon, Frankie, and got to come with me to see some of these sites, explore them. Another one to be right, because it was a few people. That's good though. That it's just so apocalyptic right now. I get so depressed when all of Canada is on fire and you go outside and it's just, if you have allergies, it's not that fun. But very nice. 1 week from today. And like, so look at this again, these megalithic it's, oh, so this one is in Egypt, and there was a similar one that is not in a line. Anywho, here's another one balancing on top. Just, it's perplexing. This is straight geopolymer wall left over. It's even got the knobs on some of them, the polygonal structure, mega blockwork. It looks just like Peru. So here's the other boat one that they were trying to do the reference to the one in Egypt. And it's just, it's amazing. This is all in Montana, so close. I have to go. I have to go see all of this. And first, I have to document the ones that are in Alberta. And so this right here, if is a Titan heel bone, this would be BioGeology, and this would be what's the same as Stellium 7s and Michael Tellinger's. Good day, Julia. Hallie Julia. Hope you're doing well, sister. Keith Rasmussen. Logan Rothrod. Good day, brother. And then what is this? Like, is that potentially another Titan bone? It's fascinating stuff. It needs to be checked out. This also definitely ridiculously huge megalithic dual monolith structures. Like, this looks like ancient depiction of some sort, possibly. Another polygonal wall within. Just crazy amounts of these sites throughout there. It's nonstop. It's just mountains and mountains full of these. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. So on that note, also want to show a couple more of the Montana Megaliths, right? So here is her main channel, Julie's channel, Julie Ryder. You gotta go over subscribe. And this is the video I'm about to play, the eagle mount, and that there's another one just like this in Alberta that I want to document and check out. And yeah, please subscribe. Look at that. This was filmed 2 years ago on my birthday.
I am Julie Ryder. Behind me is Eagle Mount Amphitheater. A huge eagle head at the top with the wings spread creating an amphitheater. Next you have a second layer of a condor that's flying right at you. The eagle head is facing northeast. The second condor is facing straight east, and it forms a amphitheater which we call a parabolic mirror. In other words, it reflects sound. A shaman from Mexico brought a conch shell here and blew the conch shell to the left side of the eagle, and it echoed 7 times, where anywhere else in the valley, you didn't hear any echo. What we're seeing here is pre-megalithic. This whole area is pre-megalithic. You don't see dolmens here. You don't see square rectangular structures here. You just see these solid beings that are human, avian, aquatic, reptilian, draconian hybrids. Some look very human, some look like mixtures. We know the ancient gods in Egypt, in South America, were often animal figures. There were more bird gods in Egypt. Over 50% of the pantheon in Egypt are bird gods with bird heads, human bodies and heads of birds. We have to invent a new vocabulary. Standard archaeology does not even begin to describe what we're finding here. Whether this is a flash fossilized being, whether it was positioned here, whether it was built here, all this mystery. Sometimes it appears to be like have the essence and power of a living being. Whether it biologically checks out to be a live tissue, whether the DNA is of an eagle, we've yet to figure that out. I believe that yes, there was a mud flood, but that these are much, much older than the mud flood, and therefore they were flash fossilized because some of these are mountain sized. They're absolutely gigantic. It's part of an entire, maybe 3 to 4 miles on both sides of the stream. There are features, faces, heads, dragons. We have the evidence here of every civilization from the beginning of time, beginning of civilizations, down until 12,800 years ago when an asteroid hit North America. We have examples of each of those epochs of time. And once there was a highly, highly developed civilization that was worldwide. Because when I first started finding these, I put it on the internet, and people would come back to me and say, no, Julie, this is in Australia. This is in Russia. I was invited into Russia to make a documentary. And we have identical matches of what was here in the Montana megaliths and dolmens in Australia, of flash fossilized beings in South Africa. They're matches. The common denominator is most of these were built over gold mines and at the headwaters of major river systems. A quantum physicist once said, we have reached the end of the English language. Our language cannot describe quantum physics or the multidimensions that we are now experiencing. In Navajo, there's first, second, third, fourth, and fifth person, where in English we only have first, second, and third. Fourth and fifth person in Navajo describes interdimensional beings on an earthly level, and fifth describes interdimensional beings that are of a higher frequency level, which we would refer to as gods, even though in the Navajo language there's no such word as a god. I'm beginning to contemplate, beginning to entertain the idea that many of these were intentionally placed like an art display. You can see 180 degrees of faces that are all silhouetted. Some places it looks completely random, other places it looks intentionally designed so that from one viewpoint, the viewer sees each aspect in a 180 degree view. I can see the whole 180 degree view of this magnificent piece of art. I believe that this is how they recorded the information for later generations. It's almost like you're watching a still shot in an incredible drama movie that's happening all around you with all the different characters displaying their best features. The more we discover about these ancient megalithic beings, the more it becomes necessary for us to invent a language that accurately describes what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, the possibilities of what it can be. It doesn't fit into the box of archaeology or geology or any of the standard sciences as we know them, because this was a extremely highly developed technological civilization.
So that was weird.
Water is now.
Unos momentos, por favor.
See will likely surprise you and think for yourself. Does this stone structure appear to be a purely geologic feature consisting of naturally stacked boulders that happen to be aligned in a perfectly straight fashion? Or is it possible that this is an ancient man-made wall comprising of massive polygonal stone blocks? And that is a real question. Is this completely natural, or is this man-made? Or could it be a combination of both? What you're seeing here is being referred to as the Sage Wall and is located in the remote mountainous wilderness in the state of Montana. It is some 275 feet long, or 84 meters, and up to 24 feet, or 7.5 meters in height. And let's be real, the secluded woods of Montana, surrounded by 400-year-old pine trees, is among the lesser likely of places where we would expect to find remnants of a long-lost ancient civilization, especially one that would have had such sophisticated stonework capabilities. Now, if you're wondering how you've never seen or heard of this place before, it's because this is on private property, which is why it is virtually unknown to the scientific community, as the couple who own the land themselves were unaware of this wall's existence for years, as it is located on the side of a mountain and was previously consumed with fallen trees and heavy foliage that had covered most of it for hundreds and, more likely, many thousands of years, leaving this distinguished wall-like structure barely discernible, especially with so few people ever having stepped foot near it. In fact, it is still completely invisible from satellite imagery on Google Earth. However, with the area around the wall now cleared, we can easily observe its stunning resemblance to what many consider to be one of the more bizarre enigmas involving the topic of lost ancient human civilizations, which is the existing polygonal stonework that is found on multiple continents and across vast oceans around the world. Whether it be the astonishing megalithic walls found throughout Peru and South America, the sheer size and precision of which boggles the mind, or the examples found on the other side of the world in Egypt, as I've shared in prior videos. However, many people are often surprised to learn that ancient polygonal stone walls can be found in multiple countries throughout Europe, including Greece, Italy, and even Turkey. These ruins are truly remarkable, yet they receive so little attention compared to the more notable ancient European attractions found in Rome and Athens that we certainly all recognize. But I must also mention that virtually everyone is taken by surprise when they learn that these ancient similarities can be found as far away as Easter Island and even Japan. Pretty remarkable to see these unique similarities across so many vastly different places on Earth. So the big question becomes, is the Sage Wall in Montana a relic of a long-lost ancient civilization, or simply a uniquely natural geological feature? Or perhaps, like I just mentioned a moment ago, could it be a combination of both, perhaps mostly natural, but geoengineered and enhanced by humans at some point in the distant past? Now, from what research I've gathered, the scientific explanation for a formation such as this is that it is an eroded magmatic dike that was created through volcanic processes when rising magma fills into fractures within older stone bedrock, which then cools and solidifies, leaving behind a wall-like feature, as we can see in these various examples. And over time, erosion creates cracks and fissures in the stone, such as what we see at the Sage Wall. I took it upon myself to scour the internet to find other examples of magmatic dike formations, and it's incredible to observe the nature of how things come to form in such uncommon ways. But I must say that as impressive as these examples are, there is nothing about them that gives me any type of feeling or inclination that they are man-made or anything other than natural. However, that's just not the same vibe or feeling I get when I first look at the Sage Wall, as none of the other examples look quite as distinctive as this, mainly the nature of how the stones appear purposely pieced and stacked together and with such alignment. Whereas other known geologic dikes certainly have cracks and fractures, yet they simply do not share the same resemblance. And what makes the Sage Wall even more interesting is how much it differentiates itself from the surrounding area as seen from drone footage. The wooded mountainous area is covered in boulders, a boulder batholith as it's called, and is said to be 75 million years old. But then there's this bizarre, perfectly straight-lined wall, which is a standout to say the least. Now, speaking of the area surrounding this wall, I've come to learn that there are many other incredible, or rather perplexing, stone anomalies not far away from here. Whether it be the remarkable way in which boulders are stacked in a dolmen-like appearance, assembled as if a table or portal as some have described, and although I am not suggesting that these various examples I'm showing you here are man-made, as I can imagine that over the course of vast lengths of time through erosion and earthquakes, boulders will fall down off cliffs and hillsides and come to rest in ways that would otherwise seem deliberate or artificial. However, I have to say that I am quite surprised at just how remarkable some of the stone features in this area are, most of which very few people have ever documented. But if you Google search Montana megaliths, you will come across many fascinating examples of nature's geological wonders in this region that are just now starting to get more attention. But with that said, let's go back to the Sage Wall. Besides its remarkably straight-lined fashion, observe how the cracks and fissures that make up these boulders often do not continue from one block to the other. It gives an untrained eye the impression that these stones were stacked and pieced together in a puzzle-like structure. And just steps away from the main wall, there are other smaller blocks that appear to be cut and aligned with each other. Again, I cannot definitively say one way or the other as to whether these stones were actually cut or how they were formed and came to look as they do now. I'm just saying that the gut impression I have when I first see this site is that it must surely be man-made, or if nothing else, geoengineered and crafted from the boulders that naturally make up this area. But if all of what you've seen so far isn't intriguing enough, the next few things you're going to see will likely surprise you. First, notice these cup-like marks found on stones in the vicinity of the Sage Wall, and notice how perfectly symmetrical some of them are. Someone please explain how on earth they could be totally natural. In fact, they seem to be something that was used for sharpening tools or perhaps food processing. Whatever their purpose was, I'm not so sure that they were formed through erosion. Which is why I must point out that very similar examples can be found in ancient stonework on the other side of the world, including Scotland and even as far away as Azerbaijan, which is located along the Caspian Sea. And although these cut marks are certainly not conclusive evidence of some ancient connection across the continents, it does seem reasonable to say that humans, perhaps the Native Americans, had utilized this site in the past, at least to some capacity. I mean, look at the more cut-like marks found at this site. Was this used for tool sharpening? Whatever their purpose was, they do seem to be carved out and not some form of erosion. Now, before I show you something that I consider to be even more interesting and raises deeper questions about this site potentially being a long-lost ancient ruin, I must first give a huge shout out to my buddy Mike Collins of the Wandering Wolf YouTube channel. He has visited this site personally on multiple occasions now and has sent me these incredible photos of the Sage Wall. I've only shown you a small fraction of all the images and video that he's taken of this site, including incredible drone footage, which is why I highly recommend that you go subscribe to his channel right now. In fact, he's currently traveling in the field and is visiting other sites that I've never seen or heard of before. Now, with that said, let me show you what else he documented at the Sage Wall that I find to be unbelievably fascinating and raises thought-provoking ideas about what's possible for this site. As I've shared in past videos, these nub-like features found in ancient stonework across the world are something that I and many others consider to be evidence that ancient humans were traversing the oceans and continents long before it was ever thought to be possible. Some will say that these nubs are nothing more than lifting bosses, but what's odd is that most of the stones don't have them. So regardless of whatever their true purpose was, they are indeed a similarity that coincidentally are found on ancient stonework around the world. So I have to say that I find it quite interesting that similar examples of these same parabolically shaped stone nubs are also found at the Sage Wall and in multiple different locations throughout the structure, not just one fluke little example that you might just dismiss as a unique erosion feature. In fact, one of the nubs even appears to be balancing that entire stone dolmen-like structure upright that I showed you earlier. Notice how it's centered at its base, and without it, it seems that the whole thing would topple over. Leave a comment on whether you think that this is nothing more than a natural fluke, or if you think that these various nubs were created with purpose and intention. But when I see examples of these nubs, as well as the cup-like cutouts and other unique cuts into the stone, as I just shared a moment ago, it makes me lean towards that this site is not solely a natural anomaly, and that we may very well be looking at evidence that ancient humans had altered this site to what it is now. But to what extent is indeed a mystery. I mean, did they actually construct this wall to make it look as it does now? That I do not know. And that is why I insist that this fascinating site must be studied by experts. They should LiDAR and use ground penetrating radar at this site to see what may lay hidden down below. And they should also take 3D scans of the stones to establish if there's any evidence that they've been cut. And they should also collect organic material from underneath this wall's foundation stones to be analyzed to potentially date its age. And if nothing else, if everything we've seen in this video is totally natural, then it seems to me that it's a fantastic opportunity for people to learn something new and share knowledge of nature's wonders with the masses. Which is why I also encourage you to go and visit this site yourself, which is easily accessible as it's only an hour outside of Bozeman, Montana, which makes it far more available and affordable to travel to compared to places such as Peru or Egypt that so many desire to visit, but are unable to due to the feasibility of international travel. Go and visit the Sage Mountain Center website. I'll include a link in the description of this video as well as the pinned comment down below. But keep in mind that this is private property, so you can only visit by appointment or reservation only. Do not show up here. Simply call or email Chris and Linda, the wonderful couple who owns this property and run the Sage Mountain Center that's located on the land. Now, I have to say that I find this site to be particularly fascinating, and I intend to go visit there later this summer. But I cannot honestly say one way or the other. Like, it could simply be totally natural, a freak of nature, so to speak. But part of me, when I first look at it, that gut impression is like, oh, come on. This has to be more than just natural. Is it possible that these boulders were out there and an ancient people in the past had lined them up together? That's a big if, and that might not be the case at all. But again, it's something rare to find something new that you haven't seen before that's so easily accessible, at least for us here in the United States, where it's a short plane ride away and an hour drive from the airport in Bozeman, Montana. So that's why it needs to be visited and explored. But I do have to say that if this site turns out to be a long-lost ancient ruin, that would stand to change everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations of North America, as this is simply not supposed to be possible. And when you think about it, it would imply that this site would potentially be super ancient, possibly formed many, many thousands of years ago, or perhaps, dare I say, built before this part of the Northern Rockies had even lifted. And that's a big if and maybe incredibly unlikely, but we'll never know for sure unless we go looking and exploring to seek answers. Now, with that said, I have a huge announcement, which is that I'm going to be giving a live speaking event this October 20th.
Oopsies. And yeah, so that was Jimmy Bright Insight. Glad that he's bringing, he's got quite the large channel, most famous for bringing attention to the Eye of the Sahara, which he claims to be the possible location of the Atlantis city itself, with the three main rings as well, the head Atlantean city. Anywho, moving on with the Montana megaliths and the Alberta ones as well, that there is, she was showing off Wandering Wolf, their channel, who's done some great work all around this area lately, and he's also went down and saw the Saskatchewan mystery rocks recently, that I have a picture of right here. So this is another site that hopefully I'm going to get to this summer myself to go explore. That's the Montana ones. Oops. Oh man, I had them in order and then they don't go in order at all. So this is also Montana in that area, and I've seen so many like this on the Cowboy Trail in southern Alberta that just have stood out to me as being artificial. Yeah, 420 on the west coast right now, 421, just missed it, but smoke them if you got them. And that's there's places that I'm going to explore with my drone and hike this summer that look like that. This is in Writing on Rock, Badlands, Alberta. Here again, the geopolymer polygonal wall and rocks in Montana's Megaliths. This is the first site I'm going to be going to, hopefully this next week, if not 2 weeks from now, depends on my having to move my storage unit this month now. That I'm done moving my mom, luckily. But anyways, main thing, we are going here in the next week or two to check it out. And it's a Badlands site. And this geopolymer wall right here, the polygonal structures, this is also at the Giants Playground in Montana. This is this the Three Sisters? No. Dolmen, that's in Alberta. Another carving in Alberta. This is Montana Megalith. This is more Badlands, I believe. Both of these are the hoodoos of Writing Rock Park, but there's pretty much identical ones at both Drumheller Badlands. That one might be Drumheller, as well as the Medicine Hat Badlands that we will be going to. Oh, this is the pyramids and face, but drawn. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see it. This is the Montana site. Another Montana site. Another megalithic Montana site. More Montana. So I'm going to try to make it to this Montana megalith site this year. Oh yeah, look at the eagle. The eagle is something else here. Sorry. Bitty bitty. There we go. The eagle, bald eagle, the beak right there, the eye, the head, the wings, all of that. It's pretty epic. Let's see. Lots of times you can see the faces in them. Lots of times not. That one definitely you can see the full face remaining. Like, is that a mud fossil troll giant? I don't know. It may, but it does look brick-like too. Who knows? But it's definitely not natural in the sense that it just eroded into that. That is intelligently created of some sort. Once again, Medicine Hat Badlands Guardians. Here's the birds at the Montana Megalith site. More of the Montana Megalith site. So I'm going to have to time myself going down here to when Graham Hancock supposedly is, as Julie said. And Jimmy himself, also Bright Insight, supposedly going there. So I got to get myself down there. And it's not just the Sage Wall. All of these are also in the Montana Megalith sites. This looks like a giant Buddha and is named as such. This is the site. This is the Saskatchewan Mystery Rocks that Wandering Wolf had just done some epic episodes and drone footage of, explanation of. Definitely a megalithic site as well, and that there's sites like this all throughout Alberta and Saskatchewan, and the different former sites that exist here. Here's the two Titan feet of the Montana megalith sites. This is the Alberta Stonehenge, I believe. The center of it. So yeah, this is in Saskatchewan, these megalithic sites. Forget which one that is. This is in Alberta, Montana. Oh, this is the Dragon site in Montana. More of the Montana megaliths. This is excavation at Cypress Hill, Alberta, Saskatchewan border national park, but there's also huge megalithic stuff there. I believe this is a view from the Three Sisters, Canmore. Three Sisters in Canmore is another site I'm going to have to hike the backside of that has crazy megalithics on it. This is this megalithic stonework. This is at Cypress Hills, Alberta. Megalithic rockwork, fairly close to the Saskatchewan mystery rocks. Here's the swan again, full swan of the Montana megaliths. One of the faces of the Montana megalith site. The rhino. And here's another geoglyph face as well. I believe this is in Montana. This guy here. And there's supposedly, I've seen a play. I have to find the website that depicts this one, but there's actually like 10 of them, just like the Medicine Hat Badland Guardian geoglyphs. That site in Montana supposedly has like 10 or so of them right around it that I'd seen one place show. This is Writing Rock Badlands again. More dolmen at the Montana megaliths. Julie there. So I'm definitely going to this site no matter what this year, and exploring all of these sites hopefully this year. Shout out Joe Cool, good to see you. And JJ Organics and Frankie did the meetup today that I sadly missed out, but look forward to seeing the video of what you explored down in downtown Calgary, the mud flood that was there. This is the Siberian megalith, so just to show that same latitude or lengths or whatnot, that northern giants everywhere. And so this is another face. This one's in the Egypt Canal, the Nasser megalith or geoglyph, the Nasser face, the Nasser site. It's been hidden up. This is another geoglyph that it's supposedly a man depicting like a hunter or something that was exposed from a fire in Montana in 2015 or 2017 or something. That was a bad image of it. So this is Kazakhstan balls, but I found out, oh, this is in Okotoks. This is just south of Calgary where I live. This is actually about 45 minutes drive from where I live. 15 minutes drive actually from Amber, my girlfriend's place. So actually I will go do a live from here very soon. And it almost looks like there's a face in it or two. But it also kind of looks blockish too. It's always been super sus to me. So we're going to go there and check it out. This is another geoglyph site, I believe, maybe Montana. Here's the Three Sisters. The backside of supposedly has crazy terraforming as well, and an ancient site in it. So the medicine wheels. So Three Sisters in Alberta, that site that I'm going to have to check out. This is Montana megaliths again. They are everywhere. This is Alberta, Badlands, different Alberta. And again, Montana. Montana. Oops. These are megaliths in Montana, or geoglyphs in Montana. Oh, is that so? One of the astral calendars, and I believe this one is in Alberta. This is in Orion, Alberta. And so this is backside of Three Sisters, and I see a face right here, and what could be, and what supposedly that there's three faces on the backside of the Three Sisters. This could be a face looking up as well, supposedly, I believe. More of the Montana Megaliths. I believe this is the more of the Alberta Orion ball stones. Nephir, sleeping goddess. So I guess, oh, there's the face. You can see. Got to get them at the right angles. Stone circle. Ooh. This megalith, another one in Montana, like straight dolmen. That one looks like a couple faces for sure with the right sun on them. I think is that this one. So these are in Orion, Alberta, a place called Orion, Alberta. And that, yes, the balls, I have to go to Orion, Alberta to claim some of BurnEye's balls and that they're there. And the robotic watcher, this is in Giants Playground, Montana, yet it does also exist at Mount Yamaniska, Alberta, which I have hiked and have photos of that exact one, and I need to get the right SIM card out to be able to show it. But in the meantime, here's what is on the other side of Mount Yamaniska, and this is the guardians of Mount Yamaniska, the backside. These guys with faces right here, kind of carved still, you can still see, and that there's a pathway up, and there's a carved path up the cliff that goes into a cave site, and that yeah, there's the cave there with the carved path and the carved path over here, both behind the guardians at Mount Yamaniska. And I'll play it right. Okay, nice. See, Orion is just south of Medicine Hat. So those, right, they're right next to each other. The Badland Guardians and those mysterious balls that appear all over the world. And this site up top here also is, I've found some guys carved into this part of the mountain. And here's where the carved staircases are, and the guardians here. And the robotic, this is the mountain facing back from Mount Yamaniska. This video I took at Mount Yamaniska, and that there is the robotic watcher about, I'd say, 50 feet from where I recorded this video on Mount Yamaniska. This was on the backside. On the front side of the mountain is where the robotic watcher guy was that I need to find the footage of. Could be, right? Who knows? Tests need to be done. Fascinating site. Never frick. Stupid video. I try to pause it, but I never get it at the right. Nope. Right here, I believe, is a guy that kind of looks like a carved statue of a figure. And yeah, anyways, need to go back and get better footage of that stuff. All right, what do we have left to share here? Or did I cover most of it that I wanted to? We are 1 hour, 25 minutes in. Yeah, I got a little bit more to share. So one more time, let's do the Montana Megaliths, the Tyrannosaurus Rex site. And this apparently is across from the Dragon Temple. And that this right here is what they're saying is a petrified T-Rex on the top of this mountain right here in full form.
Every rider at the Montana Megaliths, I'm on the Missouri River looking over the ice and snow as the river flows. Above the river, there is a flash fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can see the left cheek, the eye, the different sections of his body down to the tail. Above the Missouri River in the Montana Megaliths north. Right across this mountain is Dragon's Lair on the other side. There's a valley and then another cliff mountain above Dragon's Lair. I'm in the Montana Megaliths north. Where there's like 4-mile loop of dinosaurs, dragons, flash fossilized beings, extraordinary, perfectly intact, flash fossilized, stone, ancient, pre-megalithic biological beings.
When people are
And that's the difference when playing with Twitter or YouTube. If you play YouTube through Twitter, no ads. You play YouTube through YouTube, it's going to spam you with ads every time. Those savages. Okay, so what I did want to... Okay, yes. I found one more that